South Africa is possibly one of the most unique countries in the world. I say this because its history, its people, and its story has evolved into this extraordinary nation. I'm not talking about the politics or the economics or even the crisis we may be going through as a nation, but I'm speaking about the spirit of the people, the spirit of the nation. Over the centuries, this land has attracted cultures from the furthest points of the earth, and they have come with gifts, sacred gifts, their traditions. How often do we sit back and consider the beauty that surrounds us? As a musician, music, for me, is at the heart of all beauty. I am inviting you on a journey with me to explore the sacred music of some of the various traditions that make up the magnificent tapestry that is our country. And it will be my task to create musical fusion, making one song of our many voices. I will be traveling around South Africa, recording the music of many cultures, and taking these sounds back to my studio to create a mosaic of fresh music. In this episode, we'll be meeting the San and Sufi communities. Now, let's travel. We have a world of sacred music to explore. I'm Pops Mohamed, ethnic musician and explorer of culture. I've been fortunate to be able to integrate so much of South Africa into my life and my music. I was born and raised in Benoni, but due to the Group Areas Act during apartheid, my family was forced to move to Boksburg. Now I live in Norwood in Joburg. This is my home. This is my living room and TV space where I like to chill with my friends and also have family gatherings. My son recently got married here in this space, and we held a traditional ceremony in the very same room. They say you can fit more people into a room if you just love them more and more. You know what I mean? It's an interesting home because it's got these mezzanine levels, which means I'm up and down the stairs all the time, which is probably my main way of staying in shape. This is where I brew my coffee and my chai. I'm not a great cook, but my mom taught me everything that I know in the kitchen. Thankfully, I like simple food. Music is everything to me. I travel to perform and interact with other musicians all the time. It's really the soul of music that has captured my heart. Sometimes when I play, I lose myself to the music. I forget that I may be surrounded by other people. I go to an amazing place. It's this place that I want to find out more about. And the only way I think we can experience this is in the sacred music of our cultures. So this is my studio, my sanctuary, and these machines are like my best friends because they help me bring my music into this world. This is my keyboard. I use this to compose music and do my sequencing. This is a sequencer which I use to do all my programming. My mixer, I use this to do my mixing. It is really like the heart of the studio. So this is where I spend most of my time when I'm in the studio. And this is my patch bay. This is what I use to patch all the different machines so that they can all talk to one another. But out of all these machines, these speakers means the most to me because they were used to finalize the Paul Simon Graceland album. Now, this is one of my favorite instruments, the kora. Just listen to the depth of this sound. this is Mbira. Now listen to this sound. Each one of us comes to the world with unique talents, and I'm grateful to God for the blessings I have received as a musician. Sharing my music by going on the road is always a journey of discovery for me. This trip in particular is going to be unique because I'm going to be interacting with so many different cultures. By carrying my instruments and musical ideas around South Africa, I hope to imbibe the best of our traditional sounds. I'm anticipating good things, and the truth is, I love traveling. Truth is, I love traveling. Travel with me to meet the San people on the first leg of my journey to explore the sacred music of South Africa. I'm here in Kimberley on my way to Platfontein to speak to the San community about their music, their cultures, their traditions, the trance dance and everything that they can give us. I've spent a lot of time with the San people over the years in the Kalahari, but I've never met this clan. They seem to understand the power of music more than most because to them it's their first portal into the spirit world. If you listen to their clapping and chanting for long enough, it might even take you there. I'm going to meet Maseka, their chief, and also a traditional healer. For millennia, the San lived in small clans in villages of domed grass huts. Now they live in larger villages as part of a developed community of San clans. The San have always lived a life deeply interconnected with their natural environment. They take me to a traditional homestead where they hold their sacred ceremonies. I'm happy to see the young ones. I asked Maseka if they learn to dance too. Maseka reappears in full traditional clothing and comes with gifts, inviting me to wear the ostrich shell ornamentation as a symbol of welcome. It's very comfortable. Maseka, as an elder, has a grasp of all San instruments. Traditional instrumentation produces sounds from nature that create an unusual resonance. I'm trying out Maseka's mouth bow to see if we could find some common rhythms while he plays his imbira.
Maseka, kan jy vir my van die tradisie van die sandgemeenskap vertel?
Ja, kan echi ya kan ya ohun ne gunjun debe usin he momo ka ehe gong gusikan gong gang gala ohun ne gong ka usikan chike gong a gong tene ka chika a o ya kala ha angu ya choa teningi kang acha anga teningi kang aching teningi kai ti khwa ngo chhe ene ko ingi kala momu ka kala kama kwang tse kwala hawa na ya kama ka ta muntu anda ngo chhe ka ta ku kang ka ta ku kang ka wa chokala kang uta yang ku chawa chi thwa ya shu ya chi thwa ka shu to chi thwa ya mana ai chi thwa ka jong tang ko chokala kang kala hikula chhe kala hene ko kaba kala hene ko katikui kala hene ko kang kala kang kula kam kala kawa chokala kang khagui la khong ya ndo ya khagula ngot thala kala ka wichi kala hene ko kang kala kula kam kala kang ka chi thwa ka kang a chong tan ko chi hu kang a chong ne ko kang kala ka wichi kala esikule kam kala kang ota ka do ku chu de chi
masu yan juke ge wa ya tha kuda kwan akaga kan kuin ya daga yang wi wa tha ya duati ti da kole daga ya chutwa ka ya kumisla tanno daga yang no ka kem tu ya thui daga da ge ya lawa kana hu masu anda ka da anu ka krom tuwa et quoi tu a très comme cela ta kage ga très wa tika he ma so wa ta ko
c'est shinta in comment ta ko ta tsaya ta tsaya ta ta hin ko tere da wa chike ngau momon da ake kung akha chung de ku da ma dai wa chi wi shi nga fa shi dan dai a thwang dang du a thwang da cheng ami da wan da dan da yi wa chi ka ya ka he wa kong ga la khang ga de kha dan ga khai go da ang gu da khai dang gu dang o hun ne ku de be sing mo ka ki tam ma kon ta kwa de be kwa
ke juke tua ya tua kawa ya ku masuk tua ku cici kuwa kui dai kakula a da ka da tanu da ge hawe na ku mau ku da ku kula mi wa maswala he ka da ngwa juke chai daga ka ta ki ya ka ku tu nai nga ka da tawa tam daga tawa jotu na kau ke chati daga jotu na ya e akha tan ok au tagatan okau pitwanda makachunga atanga baita kai kha sang nei kha ikha tatik ke tangna ke kha tangung ke tung tatika tamak wa tawang ta kha umna wa ka wanda ta kha ang shui ngila hiski tkaya tagas ke tkha ngila ang shui ya khanguna ui ta ka kan chala aga dibi ju ka khwa ko misala ge ma ko khu ge ta kai ka nge ge khu ka atan okau ta ka atai te wi khwa adwa nge ya ka ki ngwa aka ka wi a ta ka nge ataya ka wi se ka nge chi thong ya ka sun ta kai ka ngi o ti thwa ke thra a ke tingwi ta ka khap a wa ngu ke kai ga wa to kha chi thwa ke kai ta nga kha sun ka ga kha sun ka kha gu kha ka ga khe gu kha ge na u ya ge na u tu na ka ngi ya nung kha ge jala ya thadbi ta sun e ya nung ke jala ta na ta yi ta ya kha a ta ga ya kha tu na a ya kha thu chou ya ta ga nung a da ni dbi ta sun yi ta ga asu tu na yi e a kha gu kha ta na ka ga nung
ka ko ya kha ta ge ka mi chenga ni ka chi ka kha ya chi thwa a khang ha nga ban ti be ka khang ha nga ban ti be ni kuin du sing ding ng sa hi ngo ko khong ma ka yi tar ji shi kuin khong nga wa ka ngo ko anta ta chi thwa ngeng ko a khang ha ngeng ko tar ti shi
man ora
En dan gaan ek speel saam met julle.
ja to ge nga mar khat ka ji those da ki ji thafai fi
I want to see what we can do together musically, and I wonder if we will understand one another. Te veel stemme gaan instrument doodmaak.
ja
Verstaan jy?
ja
So dis hoekom ek met 'n paar mense. The San carry me on a musical journey into the heart of their ancient culture. I can feel the beat of the San people. It is so indestructible. It resonates with my soul. I can feel the beat of the San people. It is so indestructible. It resonates with my soul. It resonates with my body. It's so strong and so ancient that it uplifts me, and this is something that actually encourages me to carry on with my music. I know why I've always loved these people. They feel like our grandparents. I've been deeply inspired by the chanting and rhythms of the San community. And now I'm excited to find out how the next leg of my journey, where I meet the Sufis in the Cape, will fuse with the sounds that I've discovered here. I'm here this morning in Cape Town, looking at the majestic Table Mountain behind me, and also in the same time I'm here to discover my roots as a Muslim, more particularly the sacred music of the Sufis. As a child, I used to chant zikr, this special Sufi music, at a small mosque near my home on the East Rand. I used to go there with my friends from the neighborhood. In the beginning, I didn't get it, but then something clicked and I really started to enjoy it. I felt that it gave me a good energy, something that I would even feel the next morning when I woke up. It's been some time since I heard real zikr in a rich cultural or spiritual context, and I'm excited about it. Also, the Kramat where we are going is, for me, one of the most spiritual places in the Cape. It's common practice for Muslims to wash their hands and feet before entering any sort of holy place. It signifies cleanliness and purity before we submit to Almighty God. This water comes fresh from deep within the mountain. I have the privilege of meeting with Sheikh Siraj Hendricks, one of the world's most respected Islamic scholars and Imam of the Azavia Mosque in Cape Town. Sheikh, could you tell me what is the history of the shrine that we are sitting in now?
The history of the shrine is in fact quite interesting, because it happened in the formative period of the development and the growth of the Muslim community within Cape Town. I mean, after all, within the broader South Africa, Islam started in Cape Town. This is the heart of Islam. And he was one of the formative fugitives and political prisoners. He was one of the first prisoners, in fact, to have been imprisoned on Robben Island. And that's quite interesting. In fact, he's one of the first ever recorded in our oral history to have escaped from Robben Island. So he could have been the first person who swam this distance across, and he must have been quite a proficient swimmer. Well, legend or oral history holds and maintains that he made it, he escaped, and he found this section up top here, which acted as a vantage point for him to maintain a lookout and vigilance regarding the police and all sorts of other forces who were tracking him. He was already a fairly famed person by the time that he had arrived here, and other slaves had already known about him. They came to learn of the fact that he had escaped from Robben Island, settled here. They formed a little community right here on the spot, away from the eyes of everyone else. And these people came here with these same values, loving Islam. And this is in fact where he started his Sufi circle. This was the teaching post. This acted as the classrooms, the madrasas as we call it. And this is where he died, and this is where he was buried. Great teachers are buried at the place where they shared their wisdom with other people. It was the more musical aspects of Islam that bound people together in a united group, and not the legal sort of strictures of Islamic law. It was through music, through the melody, through the beauty of recitals of the Mawlud in praise of the Prophet and the other adhkar that kept Islam alive.
I meet Yusuf, who is an exponent of dhikr, and ask him to explain the principles behind Sufi recital.
You'll always find that there's a mystical and a spiritual dimension to any particular religion. And Islam, it is Sufism. And the one thread that runs in Sufism is dhikr, which is the remembrance of God. And when we make dhikr, we draw closer to God. And this is why sacred music plays a very important role within Islam, because it binds people together under an umbrella of love and care. Chanting God's names reminds you of your mortality, of the transient nature of this life, and reminds you that you're actually a spirit basically within a body. And with chanting you elevate that spirit, and you elevate everything around you as well with love, with goodness, with kindness. You fill your space and your body and those around you with compassion and love.
The intensity of the chanting evokes a vibration that speaks directly to the soul. It is said that by reciting the names of God or Allah, it creates a vibration that links one with the Supreme.
That is one of the most well-known dhikrs. It's called Ya Latif. And in Islam we have what we call the 99 names of God, which is the Asma al-Husna. And Ya Latif is supposedly to mean the knower of all secrets, and it's also the sustainer. And by reciting it constantly, you also open up the doors of rizq, or the doors of sustenance of God to yourself.
I love being at home in the rhythm of my own culture. One of the key elements of Islam is to heed the call to prayer, which is so core to the faith as it beckons devotees to become more God-centered. Join me in the magical surrounds of the Sheikh Nuril Mubin Kramat.
As Muslims, we need to prepare for our prayers 5 times a day. What is the meaning of the salah, of the prayer, the 5 daily obligatory prayers? Think of it as a stream that runs past your house, and that through the daily, the chores and the difficulties of the tasks you have to do, you take a dip 5 times into the water to refresh and to regale your senses. After the salah, you come out refreshed spiritually.
What did Muhammad command you to do? And Abu Sufyan answered, he commanded us to observe salah, to pay zakah, to tell the truth, to be pious.
One of the key elements of Islam is to heed the call to prayer, which is so core to the faith as it beckons devotees to become more God-centered.
first reports of Muslims having arrived here were in the late 1650s. We can roughly assume the Muslims have been in South Africa for more than 300 years. We form a very significant and important demographic group within the broader cultural life of Cape society. Islam is a religion that recognizes diversity within unity. The very concept of Tawheed in Islam means the oneness of God. But we should not confuse that with conformity or uniformity. There's this tapestry of diversity that we notice, and that forms a very real part of our social reality. The Quran itself says that I've created you male and female and tribes and nations so that you may come to know one another. The only way we can come to know one another is respecting this diversity as part of the divine tapestry. We need to open our hearts. The most central idea in Islam is the idea of mercy, the idea of compassion, the idea of forgiveness, the idea of love for your neighbor, the idea of love for your fellow human being. It is there to address the heart. And it is through the heart that we find ourselves. And this in particular is where music has a major function. But its role is that of releasing that spiritual energy and potential from within the heart.
This song speaks about the oneness of God. There's 99 names of God, the Asma al-Husna, and this one is probably the highest. It is Allah, and you can actually see the vibrations lifting as the guys are reciting this particular dhikr. With sacred music, the intention is to evoke spirituality. It is to remind you of a divine being, of a higher self.
Perhaps it's recitations like these that seem to produce a higher state of consciousness. And I would love to experiment with some of these elements together with Yusuf, creating something entirely unique. Let's jam together, do something together, me and you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahimu, Ya Karimu, Ya Allah Sattar. Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahimu, Ya Karimu, Ya Allah Sattar. What happens is that scientifically your body resonates with the kind of music that you listen to. And if the tempo doesn't suit your body's tempo, your body goes out of sync and your spirit goes out of sync. Music enters your auditory cortex and goes into an old part of the brain called the mammalian brain, and you respond to music through that mammalian brain. That is also the part of the brain that controls your heartbeat, your emotions. If you listen to music that is in line with the tempo of your body, your 70-80 beats per minute, your body immediately comes down and relaxes, and this is what you call sympathetic resonance.
You know, sometimes when I play music, especially when I'm playing for myself, or sometimes when I'm playing for a small audience, I go into some kind of altered state of mind. I feel things happen to me. It becomes very personal. It's almost like I don't see the audience anymore. What do you feel when you play music?
Most times I go into an altered state, and I think it's probably because of the lyrics perhaps, or because of the kind of music, the spiritual kind of music. And I'm often not aware of people around us, but I am aware of an energy that often comes through you while you are singing, and that elevates me. And what is amazing, the next day I get up and I'm completely energized and feeling extremely positive about life. In the kind of world that we're living in, we're constantly in our mind. For me, music is that outlet whereby I can let go of my mind, you know, and I can get back into my body, back into my spirit, and I go into a space where there's complete freedom. You're uniting with your divine spirit, with God, with Allah, and it's in that space that the gift of music comes to you as a musician.
I say to people that you are born with music. There's no one who could say to me he doesn't understand music. It's within you. You just have to bring it out and recognize that you do have rhythm. Everybody has got rhythm. Even if you listen to the train, you get that beat, you know, from everything. There's rhythm. Everything is just alive. This whole universe is alive. And that's how I see music.
Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Allah Sattar.
Witness the merging of worlds through the sacred music of the San and Sufi. This journey has been so intriguing. The sand music, their clapping and their chanting, it forms a rhythm that feels like the primordial sound of the earth. The synergy of their music with the natural environment will probably form the basis of this fusion. The rhythms run deep. Together with the Sufi recital, that reverberates the idea of one God, I'm now going to experiment how one sound can flow into another. Yusuf's Sufi vocals and chant have a quality of lightness and an even tempo. Now I want to explore how to marry the two unique traditions into one song, something like bringing together the sky and the earth. Perhaps I'll even try bringing in the element of water to help in the mix.
Yeah, enjoy.
The heart meets and connects with music. And so music has a role within the Muslim community to realize the ultimate, both spiritual and social condition of a Muslim community, and that is the idea of balance and equilibrium. When the heart becomes receptive, when the heart becomes receptive, when the heart becomes receptive, when the heart becomes receptive,
Kakwa kumsala kema pakuke takika ngege kunu eka atang okau tagatai atai te mikwa ngi hakaki kunu kawi a takangi ataya kawi sekangi atsikonu hakasin takika ni kuri oti twa ke tra ke tini takap a wanu ke
Over the last few years, I've seen how music has such power to unite people, where they come to you and they say, you know what, for the first time we've realized there is only one God.
A string on a guitar is really worthless on its own, but it finds its harmony with the other strings that flow together.
كريم يا الله ستار يا رحمن يا رحيم يا كريم يا الله ستار
Kai ti khwa mo chhe ine ku ngi ku kala momu ka kang kala kha kama kwang te kwala ha wana ya ka kama kha ta mo thwanda mo chhe khá trả cái cẳng tất cả các trả cái cẳng các bạn cho cái là cẳng của ta cho chiếc thỏa suy chiếc thỏa suy qua chiếc thỏa hay chiếc thỏa khá chống cái chiếc thỏa mà chơi nó cũng cái là muốn cái là các cầm quan chơi qua là heo này
ta dù cái khoa cũng sẽ là game mà cũng game ta cái càng nghe game cũng
When the heart becomes receptive.
Thế cả ở ốc âu cái thì quý khoa ở hàng hàng các cái cũng ngoại cái quý à ta càng nghe ở cái à cái quý sẽ càng nghe chứ cũng khá sung